Growing up with Jane was like living next to a supernova. She was dazzling, radiant, the kind of person who just sucked all the light and attention into her orbit. Me? I was more like a dim bulb in the corner. Functional, sure, but not exactly setting the world on fire. It wasn't that Jane was mean or anything. She was actually pretty nice, always had a smile for everyone, always knew the right thing to say. But she had this aura, this effortless charm that made everyone adore her. Teachers, relatives, the random guy at the grocery store, they all fell under her spell. And then there were the achievements. Straight A's without even trying. Captain of the cheerleading squad, lead in the school play. Jane excelled at everything she touched. My parents, well, they practically glowed with pride. Our Jane, they'd say, their voices filled with a mixture of awe and adoration. She's going to be something special. Me, I was solid, decent grades, member of the debate team. We never won, but hey, I tried. And a pretty mean chess player, though no one really cared about that. I worked hard, I really did. But somehow, it was never enough. My achievements were always overshadowed by Jane's brilliance. My efforts dismissed with a pat on the head and a, "That's nice, dear." The favoritism wasn't blatant, not exactly. It was more like a subtle undercurrent, a constant hum in the background of our lives. Jane got the new car, I got the hand-me-down. Jane got the expensive summer camp, I got the staycation with the family. Jane got the glowing praise, I got the, "You tried your best." It wasn't that I was treated badly. I had a good life, a loving family, sort of. All the material things a girl could want. But there was always this gap, this sense of being less than, of not quite measuring up, and that feeling followed me to the workplace. Yep, you guessed it. We both ended up working at our parents' company, Thorn & Thorn Investments, a Wall Street trading firm that reeked of money and ambition. I landed a job as a junior analyst, determined to prove myself, to show them that I wasn't just the other daughter, that I had brains and talent, but somehow Jane, who started at the same time, was always one step ahead. She had this uncanny knack for picking the right stocks, for making these crazy trades that defied logic, but somehow turned into massive profits. The clients loved her, the bosses praised her, and my parents, well, they practically beamed with pride. "Our Jane," they'd say, their voices filled with that same familiar mix of awe and adoration. "She's a natural." Every time I closed a deal, Jane closed a bigger one. Every time I made a successful trade, Jane made a killing. It was like she had a magic touch, a sixth sense for the market. And me? I was just there, working hard, doing my best, but always in her shadow, always playing catch-up. It was frustrating, demoralizing, and honestly, a little bit soul-crushing. But I refused to give up. I told myself that I just needed to work harder, to be smarter, to prove myself. I spent late nights poring over financial reports, weekends attending seminars, every spare moment trying to sharpen my skills, to gain an edge. I was determined to make my mark, to carve out my own space in this cutthroat world. I wanted their respect, their recognition, their pride. I wanted to prove them wrong, to show them that I was more than just Jennifer, Jane's sister. I was Jennifer Thorne, and I was going to make them see it. It was a Tuesday morning, just like any other. I was at my desk, coffee in hand, staring at a spreadsheet that seemed determined to melt my brain. The usual Wall Street hustle and bustle swirled around me. Phones ringing, keyboards clacking, people shouting orders in that weird mix of finance jargon and aggressive enthusiasm. Then the world exploded. Okay, not literally exploded, but it sure felt like it. The doors to the trading floor burst open, and this wave of dark suits and serious faces poured in. FBI. They were everywhere, shouting, shoving people aside, their badges flashing like unwelcome strobe lights. "FBI! Nobody move!" A voice boomed through the stunned silence. Chaos erupted. People were screaming, scrambling, hiding under their desks. I just sat there, frozen, my brain struggling to process what was happening. Was this a drill? A prank? Some weird reality TV show? Then, two agents approached my desk, their expressions grim. "Jennifer Thorne?" one of them asked, his voice hard. "Yes," I stammered. my heart pounding in my chest. "You're under arrest," he said, flashing his badge again. "Insider trading." Insider trading? What the hell? I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Insider trading? Me? It was ludicrous. I barely understood what insider trading was, let alone how to do it. I was just a junior analyst, for crying out loud. I I don't understand, I said, my voice trembling. "What's going on?" "You have the right to remain silent," the agent recited, his voice monotone. "Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." The rest of his words were a blur. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of this insane situation. Insider trading? It was Jane who was the trading whiz. Jane who made those crazy deals. Jane who raked in the big bucks. Not me. I was just Jennifer, the other daughter, the one who played by the rules. They handcuffed me, the cold metal biting into my wrists. I felt a surge of panic, a desperate urge to scream, to fight, to explain, but the words wouldn't come. I was trapped in a nightmare, a surreal, terrifying scenario that seemed to have no escape. They marched me through the stunned office, past my colleagues, past my parents. My mom's face was a mask of shock and horror. My dad's a mixture of confusion and anger. They stared at me, their eyes wide, their mouths agape. But there was no recognition in their gaze, no understanding, no support. Just disbelief. I was led out of the building, the flashing lights of the FBI vehicles blinding me. The world was a cacophony of noise, sirens wailing, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing. I felt exposed, vulnerable, utterly lost. They shoved me into the back of a car, the door slamming shut behind me. I was alone, trapped in a cage of my own innocence, surrounded by the ghosts of accusations I didn't understand. Insider trading. The words echoed in my mind, a cruel joke, a twisted accusation that threatened to destroy my life. As the car sped away, I looked back at the office building, at the chaos I was leaving behind. And in that moment, I knew that my life had just changed forever. I was no longer just Jennifer, the overlooked daughter, the hardworking analyst. I was Jennifer Thorne, the accused, the suspect, the potential criminal. And I had no idea how to clear my name, how to prove my innocence, how to escape this nightmare. The holding cell was grim, cold concrete walls, a steel bench, and a toilet that offered zero privacy. I huddled in the corner, shivering in my thin blouse, the events of the day replaying in my mind like a broken record. Insider trading, arrest, FBI. It was all too much, too surreal. Hours crawled by, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to my dwindling hope. Finally, the door creaked open, and a guard ushered in my parents and a man in a sharp suit. Their lawyer, I guessed. My mom rushed towards me, her face etched with worry. "Jennifer, honey, are you all right?" "All right," I scoffed, my voice laced with bitterness. "Mom, I've been arrested for insider trading. I'm in jail. Does this look all right to you?" "We know, sweetheart. We know," my dad said, his voice surprisingly calm. "But it's going to be okay. We're here to help." Help? They were the ones who got me into this mess, or so I thought at the time. The lawyer cleared his throat, his expression serious. "Jennifer," he began, "we need to be completely honest with you." Honest? About what? That they'd hired the world's worst lawyer? This whole insider trading situation, the lawyer continued, choosing his words carefully. It's complicated? No kidding. The truth is, my mom said, her voice trembling, it wasn't you, Jennifer. It was Jane. Uh, Jane? My perfect golden sister? The trading prodigy? I stared at them, my mind reeling. "Jane?" I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. "But how?" She got involved with some people, my dad explained, his gaze fixed on the floor. Some powerful people. They gave her information, insider tips. She made a lot of money. A lot. "But why?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Why would she do that?" She wanted to impress us," my mom said, her eyes filled with tears. "She wanted to be the best, the most successful. She She went too far. And when the FBI started investigating, the lawyer added, your parents, they panicked. They shifted the blame to you. Shifted the blame to me? I felt a surge of anger, a burning betrayal that scorched my soul. You framed me? I whispered, my voice trembling with rage. You let them arrest me for something I didn't do, to protect Jane? My parents exchanged a look, their faces etched with guilt and shame. We had to, Jennifer, my dad said, his voice pleading. We couldn't lose Jane. She's special. Special? I scoffed, my voice dripping with sarcasm. So special that she can break the law, commit fraud, and get away with it, while I rot in jail for her crimes? It's for the family, Jennifer, my mom said, her voice firming with resolve. We have to protect our own. We have to protect the company, our reputation, our legacy. Legacy? I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. What legacy? A legacy of lies, of deceit, of betrayal? Is that what you want to be remembered for? Don't be naive, Jennifer, the lawyer said, his voice sharp. This is how the world works. It's about survival, about protecting your own. Sometimes you have to make difficult choices. Sir, difficult choices? They had sacrificed me, their own daughter, to protect their golden child, their precious company, their precious legacy. And they expected me to understand? To accept it? To go along with their charade? I won't, I said, my voice shaking but firm. I won't let you do this to me. I won't be your scapegoat. I won't take the fall for Jane's crimes. You have no choice, Jennifer, my dad said, his voice cold, hard. You're already arrested. The evidence is stacked against you. You'll be convicted. It's over. It's not over, I said, my voice rising with defiance. I'll fight this. I'll prove my innocence. I'll expose Jane and her crimes, and I'll make you pay for what you've done to me. I glared at them, my eyes burning with anger and hurt. They had betrayed me, abandoned me, sacrificed me for their own selfish desires, and I would never forgive them. The meeting ended with a chilling silence. They left, their faces etched with a mixture of guilt, fear, and a cold, calculating determination. I was left alone, in the cold, harsh reality of my cell, facing a future that seemed bleak, uncertain, and utterly terrifying. But even in the depths of despair, a spark of defiance ignited within me. I wouldn't let them win. I wouldn't let them break me. I would fight back. I would reclaim my life, my freedom, my justice. 5 years, 1,825 days. That's how long they took from me. 5 years of my life wasted in this concrete hellhole, surrounded by chain link fences, barbed wire, and the ghosts of my stolen dreams. Federal prison isn't exactly a walk in the park. Forget those TV shows with the glamorous inmates and the sassy dialogue. This place was grim. The food was atrocious. The guards were either bored or sadistic, and the other inmates were a mix of hardened criminals and scared first-timers. I was definitely in the latter category. The first few weeks were a blur of shock and disbelief. I kept expecting to wake up from this nightmare, to find myself back in my apartment, my life still intact. But the cold, hard reality of the prison walls kept me grounded in this harsh new reality. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. The routine was mind-numbing. Wake up, eat slop, work a menial job, exercise in the yard, if you could call that patch of dirt a yard, eat more slop, sleep, repeat. It was a soul-crushing monotony, designed to break you, to strip you of your individuality, your hope, your spirit. And it almost worked. There were days when I wanted to give up, to curl up in a ball, and let the darkness consume me. Days when the anger and bitterness were so overwhelming, I thought I would explode. Days when the injustice of it all, the betrayal, the loss, the sheer waste of my life, made me want to scream until my lungs gave out. But something kept me going, a stubborn refusal to let them win, a burning desire to prove them wrong, a thirst for revenge that simmered beneath the surface, a promise I made to myself in the quiet hours of the night. I wouldn't let them break me. I wouldn't let them steal my future. I would survive this, and when I got out, I would make them pay. I read. I exercised. I learned. I found ways to keep my mind sharp, my body strong, my spirit alive. I made friends, unlikely alliances with women from all walks of life. Women who had also been wronged. Women who understood the pain, the anger, the burning desire for justice. And slowly, gradually, the despair started to fade. It was replaced by a quiet determination, a steely resolve, a cold, hard fury that fueled my every thought, my every action. 5 years. They had taken 5 years from me, but they hadn't taken my spirit. They hadn't taken my hope. They hadn't taken my thirst for revenge. I would get out, and when I did, they would pay. They would all pay. The smell of stale coffee and burnt toast jolted me awake. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the dim light filtering through the blinds. Wait, what? This wasn't my cell. This was my apartment. My old apartment, the one I had before everything went to hell. I sat up, my heart pounding. The familiar floral wallpaper, the overflowing bookshelf, the framed photo of me and my college friends on that disastrous spring break trip. It was all there. But how? The last thing I remembered was the cold, hard floor of my cell, the metallic tang of prison-issue food, the despair that clung to me like a second skin. I stumbled out of bed, my legs shaky, my mind reeling. I checked the date on my phone. April 12th, 2024. A year. A whole year before the FBI raid, before the arrest, before the betrayal, before the 5 years of my life were stolen away. It was impossible. It had to be a dream, a hallucination, some cruel trick played by my subconscious, taunting me with a glimpse of the life I had lost. But the details were too vivid, too real. The worn carpet beneath my feet, the chipped mug on the nightstand, the faint scent of lavender from the diffuser I always forgot to refill. It was all undeniably real. I went to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The same Jennifer, but different. Younger, softer. Her eyes filled with a spark of hope that had long since been extinguished. This was real. Somehow, impossibly, miraculously, I was back. Back to the beginning, before the nightmare unfolded, before my life was shattered. I spent the next few hours in a daze, wandering around my apartment, touching familiar objects, trying to grasp the reality of this impossible situation. Was it a second chance? A do-over? A cosmic glitch in the Matrix? I had no idea, but one thing was certain: I wasn't going to waste it. The initial shock gave way to a surge of emotions. Disbelief, confusion, a flicker of fear, and then a powerful, overwhelming sense of hope. Hope that I could change things, that I could prevent the disaster, that I could reclaim my life. But how? What could I do? Should I warn my parents, confront Jane, go to the FBI? The possibilities swirled in my mind, each one more daunting than the last. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the chaos in my head. I needed a plan, a strategy, a way to navigate this new reality, this second chance that had been so unexpectedly bestowed upon me. I thought about the past 5 years, the pain, the loss, the injustice. I thought about my parents, their betrayal, their cold, calculated sacrifice of their own daughter. I thought about Jane, her greed, her ambition, her effortless charm that had blinded everyone to her true nature. And then a steely resolve hardened my gaze. I wouldn't be a victim this time. I wouldn't let them manipulate me, use me, destroy me. I would fight back. I would expose their lies, their deceit, their crimes. I would reclaim my life, my freedom, my justice. This was my second chance, and I wouldn't waste it. Walking back into Thorn and Thorn Investments felt surreal. The familiar smell of expensive coffee and nervous sweat, the cacophony of ringing phones and shouting brokers, the undercurrent of ambition and greed. It was all exactly the same, except this time I was different. I wasn't just Jennifer, the overlooked daughter, the hardworking analyst. I was Jennifer, the one with a secret, the one with a second chance. I went through the motions, greeting colleagues with a forced smile, settling into my desk, pretending to be absorbed in the daily market reports. But my mind was elsewhere, racing with a plan, a strategy to uncover the truth, to expose the lies, to bring down the people who had destroyed my life. My first target was Jane. I needed access to her computer, her files, her communications. It wasn't easy. Jane was always surrounded by admirers, clients, and colleagues, her every move watched, her every word recorded. But I was patient, observant, waiting for the right moment to strike. The opportunity came during a company-wide meeting. Jane, as always, was the star of the show, presenting her latest investment strategy, her voice confident, her smile dazzling. I watched her, my gaze sharp, my mind calculating. As she finished her presentation, basking in the applause, I saw my chance. While everyone was distracted, I slipped into her office, my heart pounding in my chest. I quickly logged into her computer, my fingers flying across the keyboard. I started with her emails, scanning through the endless stream of messages, looking for anything suspicious, anything that could expose her insider trading scheme. And then I found it. An email from a contact simply labeled Mr. X, containing detailed information about an upcoming merger, information that was not yet public, information that could be used to make a killing in the market. The email was encrypted, but I managed to crack the code, my years of experience with computers and technology finally paying off. The message was clear. Jane was receiving insider information, using it to make illegal trades, raking in massive profits. But that wasn't all. As I dug deeper, I discovered a network of contacts, a web of connections that extended far beyond the walls of Thorn and Thorn. There were emails from CEOs, CFOs, even congressmen, all providing Jane with confidential information, all benefiting from her illegal trades. The scale of the operation was staggering, the corruption breathtaking. But the biggest shock came when I stumbled upon a folder labeled Family Matters. Inside, I found emails between Jane, my parents, and a mysterious figure simply labeled The Source. The emails detailed the entire scheme, the illegal trades, the profits, the cover-ups. My parents were involved. They weren't just protecting Jane, they were actively participating in the fraud, using their positions of power to facilitate the insider trading, to maximize their profits, to build their empire on a foundation of lies and deceit. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My own parents, the people who were supposed to love and protect me, had betrayed me, sacrificed me for their own greed, their own ambition. The hurt was profound, the anger overwhelming. But amidst the pain, a sense of clarity emerged. I finally understood. I understood why Jane was always one step ahead, why she always made the right trades, why she was the golden child, the untouchable prodigy. It wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it was fraud. It was corruption. It was a family business built on lies and deceit. And I was the one who was going to bring it all down. Okay, so I had the proof. Emails, financial records, enough dirt to bury my family and half of Wall Street. But evidence is only good if you know how to use it. I couldn't just waltz into the FBI office and dump a pile of incriminating files on their desk. I needed a strategy, a plan, someone on the inside who I could trust. And that's when I remembered him. Special Agent Matthew. The guy who arrested me, the one with the serious face and the no-nonsense attitude. He was just doing his job, following the evidence, even if that evidence was fabricated. He was a cop, a good cop, I could tell, and I needed him. Finding him wasn't easy. FBI agents aren't exactly listed in the yellow pages, but I had a few tricks up my sleeve. A little online digging, a bit of social engineering, don't judge, desperate times and all that, and I finally found his contact information. My hands were shaking as I dialed his number. This was it, the point of no return. Once I crossed this line, there was no going back. The phone rang, and rang, and rang. My heart pounded in my chest. Come on, pick up, pick up. Finally, a gruff voice answered. Matthew. Agent Matthew? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. My name is Jennifer Thorne. I believe I have some information about a major insider trading scheme. There was a pause, a moment of silence. I could practically hear him assessing me, trying to decide if I was a crank, a time waster, or someone worth listening to. Miss Thorne, he said, his voice cautious. This is a serious accusation. Can you be more specific? I can't discuss it over the phone, I said, my voice gaining strength. It's sensitive. It involves a major Wall Street firm, high-profile individuals, and potentially even some political figures. That got his attention. I could hear the shift in his tone. the sudden interest. "All right, Miss Thorne," he said, his voice more alert now. "You've piqued my interest. Tell me where and when we can meet." I gave him the details, a quiet cafe, downtown, tomorrow morning. We hung up, the call disconnecting, leaving me with a mix of fear and exhilaration. I had done it. I had reached out. I had taken the first step towards reclaiming my life, towards exposing the truth, towards bringing down the people who had tried to destroy me. Tomorrow was the day. Tomorrow, I would tell him everything. And this time, I wouldn't be the one in handcuffs. The cafe was bustling, the clatter of cups, the hiss of the espresso machine, the murmur of conversations. It was the perfect cover for a clandestine meeting. I arrived early, nerves buzzing like a swarm of bees in my stomach. I ordered a coffee, the caffeine a much-needed jolt to my system. Agent Matthew arrived precisely on time. He looked even more imposing in person, his sharp suit and no-nonsense demeanor radiating an air of authority. He sat down, his gaze intense, his expression unreadable. "Miss Thorne," he said, nodding curtly, "thank you for meeting with me." "Agent Matthew," I replied, my voice a little shaky. "Thank you for coming." We exchanged a few pleasantries, the usual small talk that felt strangely out of place given the circumstances. Then, I took a deep breath and dove in. "I have information about a major insider trading scheme," I said, my voice gaining strength with every word. "It involves my family's company, Thorne and Thorne Investments. My sister, Jane Thorne, is at the center of it." I laid out everything: the emails, the financial records, the network of contacts, the involvement of my parents. I explained how Jane was receiving insider information, how she was using it to make illegal trades, how she was raking in massive profits. I detailed the extent of the corruption, the involvement of high-profile individuals, the potential political ramifications. Agent Matthew listened intently, his expression growing more serious with every revelation. He asked a few questions, clarifying details, probing for weaknesses in my story. But I was prepared. I had spent the past few days meticulously reviewing the evidence, memorizing dates, names, and figures. When I finished, the silence in the cafe was palpable. Agent Matthew leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on me. "Miss Thorne," he said, his voice grave, "this is explosive. If true, this could be one of the biggest insider trading cases in history." "It's true," I said, my voice firm. "I have the evidence to prove it." He nodded slowly. "Then we need to act, and we need to act fast." He outlined his plan. I would wear a wire, confront my family, get them to admit their involvement in the scheme. The recordings would be the irrefutable proof they needed to secure a conviction. I hesitated for a moment, the thought of facing my family, of accusing them of such heinous crimes, of betraying their trust. It made my stomach churn, but then I remembered the 5 years I had lost, the pain they had inflicted, the injustice they had perpetrated. "I'll do it," I said, my voice resolute. Agent Matthew nodded. "Good. We'll equip you with the wire, brief you on the procedure, and provide you with backup. You'll meet with your family, confront them, and let the evidence speak for itself." He handed me a small, discreet device. "This is the wire. It's voice-activated, so just speak naturally. We'll be monitoring the conversation from a safe distance." I took the wire, my fingers closing around it tightly. This was it. The moment of truth. The chance to reclaim my life, to expose the lies, to bring down the people who had tried to destroy me. I looked at Agent Matthew, my gaze steady, my resolve unwavering. "I'm ready," I said. The familiar glass doors of Thorne and Thorne Investments loom before me, the brass nameplate gleaming in the afternoon sun. My heart pounded a war drum against my ribs as I pushed through the heavy doors, the cool air conditioning a stark contrast to the sweltering city heat. This time, I wasn't just walking into my family's company, I was walking into a lion's den, armed with nothing but a hidden wire and a steely determination. My parents' corner office was as opulent as ever, all polished mahogany and plush leather. My father sat behind his massive desk, a phone glued to his ear, barking orders into the receiver. My mother, impeccably dressed as always, perched on a nearby sofa, flipping through a financial magazine. And there she was, Jane, the golden child, radiating confidence and success. Jennifer, what a surprise! My mother's voice was a practiced blend of surprise and affection, but her eyes held a flicker of curiosity. Just thought I'd drop by, I said casually, taking a seat. See how things are going. My father hung up the phone, his gaze sharp and assessing. To what do we owe this unexpected visit? Oh, just catching up with the family business, I said, my voice light, my hand subtly adjusting the wire beneath my blouse. Well, business is booming, my father said with a smug grin. Jane's been on a roll lately. Her instincts are uncanny. Uncanny, I echoed, my voice dripping with irony. He didn't seem to notice. She's got a real knack for this, our Jane. A natural. I glanced at Jane, who was watching me with a cool, appraising gaze. A natural, I repeated, the words tasting like acid in my mouth. My mother, ever the diplomat, jumped in. Jennifer, dear, we're so glad you decided to visit. We were just talking about you. Oh, I said, feigning surprise. Anything interesting? We were just saying how proud we are of you, my mother said smoothly. You're working so hard, really making a name for yourself here. A name for myself? I scoffed internally. More like trying to escape Jane's shadow. Of course, my father added, you'll never be quite as brilliant as Jane, but you're a good, steady worker, and that's important too. The condescension was thick enough to choke on. I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the wire, of the mission. Actually, I said, my voice carefully casual, there's something I wanted to talk to you all about. Something important? They exchanged curious glances. Jane leaned forward, her interest piqued. It's about how things work around here, I continued, my voice gaining strength. About how Jane's been making those incredible trades. My father frowned. What do you mean? I mean, I said, my voice hardening, the insider information, the illegal trades, the corruption. The blood drained from my mother's face. My father's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint in their depths. Jane's composure finally cracked, a flicker of fear crossing her features. Jennifer, what are you talking about? My father said, his voice dangerously low. Don't play dumb with me, I retorted. I know about the emails, the contacts, the whole scheme. I know how you've been manipulating the market, making millions illegally. You've been spying on us? Jane hissed, her voice laced with venom. Someone had to, I said, my gaze unwavering. Someone had to expose the truth. Jennifer, this is a serious accusation, my mother said, her voice trembling. You need to be careful. Careful? I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. You're the ones who need to be careful, because I'm not going to let you get away with this. Jennifer, listen to reason, my father said, his voice surprisingly calm. This is how the world works. It's about survival, about getting ahead. We're just playing the game. A game with rigged rules, I countered. A game where you cheat and lie and steal to win. It's not stealing if everyone's doing it, Jane said with a shrug. That doesn't make it right, I said, my voice filled with disgust. My father leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with a strange intensity. Jennifer, you're smart, you're capable, you could be a part of this, a part of something big, something powerful. You could have everything you ever wanted. Everything? I scoffed. At what cost? My soul, my integrity, my freedom? Don't be naive, Jennifer, he said, his voice hardening. This is the real world. This is how it works. Join us. Be a part of the family business. We can make you rich, powerful, untouchable. Untouchable like Jane? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. He didn't answer. He just stared at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of challenge and expectation. I stood up, my gaze sweeping across their faces. My father, cold and calculating. My mother, conflicted and pleading. Jane, arrogant and defiant. I'm not like you, I said, my voice clear and strong. I won't be a part of your lies, your deceit, your corruption. I won't sacrifice my integrity for your wealth. I won't let you win. I turned and walked towards the door, leaving them speechless, their faces etched with a mixture of shock, anger, and a dawning realization that they had underestimated their other daughter. As I stepped out of the office, I felt a surge of adrenaline, a sense of triumph, a knowledge that I had done the right thing. I had faced my demons, exposed their lies, and reclaimed my power. The wire beneath my blouse felt like a badge of honor, a symbol of my defiance, my courage, my unwavering determination to bring them to justice. The next morning, I walked into Thorn and Thorn with a knot of anxiety twisting in my stomach. Agent Matthew had assured me the FBI were ready to move, that they had enough to take down my family and their whole corrupt network. But after what I'd been through, trust didn't come easy, especially not when it came to my family. The office buzzed with the usual frenetic energy, but there was an underlying tension, a sense of unease that I hadn't noticed before. My parents were nowhere to be seen, and Jane was glued to her computer screen, her brow furrowed in concentration. I settled at my desk, pretending to work, my eyes darting around, searching for any sign of the impending raid. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Was the plan working? Had something gone wrong? Was I about to be arrested again? Then it happened. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. My father's secretary, her face pale and panicked, rushed into Jane's office, whispering frantically. Jane's eyes widened in alarm, and she quickly grabbed her phone, dialing a number with trembling fingers. I strained to hear, my heart pounding in my chest. "They're coming," she hissed into the phone. "The FBI. They're raiding the office." A surge of adrenaline coursed through me. This was it. Showtime. Jane hung up, her face a mask of fear and fury. She stormed out of her office, heading straight for mine. "Jennifer," she hissed, her voice laced with venom. "You did this! You betrayed us!" "Someone had to," I said, my voice calm, steady. "You'll regret this," she spat. "You'll regret this for the rest of your life." "I doubt it," I said, a hint of a smile playing on my lips. She turned and fled, disappearing into the maze of offices and cubicles. Moments later, the doors to the trading floor burst open, and a wave of FBI agents swarmed in, their badges flashing, their voices echoing through the stunned silence. "FBI, nobody move!" This time, there was no panic, no chaos, just a quiet, efficient roundup of the guilty. My father, his face pale and bewildered, was led away in handcuffs. My mother, her composure finally shattered, sobbed uncontrollably as she was escorted out. And Jane, her arrogance replaced by a look of sheer terror, was marched out, her golden image tarnished forever. I watched them go, a strange mix of emotions swirling within me. Satisfaction, yes. Justice, definitely. But also a tinge of sadness, a flicker of regret for the family I had lost, the family I could never have. As the last of the agents cleared the floor, Agent Matthew approached me, a smile playing on his lips. "Congratulations, Miss Thorne," he said. "You did it." "We did it," I corrected, a genuine smile spreading across my face. He nodded. "You were right. They were dirty, every single one of them. Thanks to you, they're going down." I followed him out of the office, the once familiar space now feeling alien and tainted. As I stepped onto the street, the sunlight hit my face, warm and welcoming. I took a deep breath, the fresh air filling my lungs, a symbol of my newfound freedom. But my mission wasn't over yet. I had one more stop to make. The detention center was a stark contrast to the opulent offices of Thorn and Thorn. The air was thick with the smell of disinfectant and despair. I was led to a small, sterile room where my family was waiting, their faces etched with a mixture of shock, anger, and disbelief. "Jennifer!" my mother cried, her voice filled with anguish. "How could you do this to us?" "Surprised?" I asked, my voice laced with a hint of amusement. "You expected me to be arrested, didn't you? Just like last time." "Last time?" my father said, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Oh, right," I said, a sly smile spreading across my face. "You wouldn't remember, would you? Let's just say I've been given a second chance, a chance to rewrite the script, to change the ending." "What are you talking about?" Jane demanded, her voice shrill. "I'm talking about justice," I said, my voice rising with righteous anger. "I'm talking about exposing your lies, your deceit, your crimes. I'm talking about making you pay for what you did to me." to this company, to the world. You set us up, my father gasped, his face pale with realization. I was 2 steps ahead of you, I said, my voice triumphant. You thought you could frame me again, just like last time. But you were wrong. This time, you're going down. Their faces contorted with rage and frustration. They hurled insults, accusations, threats. But their words were hollow, their power gone. They were trapped, defeated, their empire crumbling around them. I watched them, a strange sense of detachment washing over me. The anger, the hurt, the bitterness. It was all fading away, replaced by a sense of closure, of vindication, of a future finally free from their toxic influence. Goodbye, family, I said, my voice soft but firm. Enjoy your new accommodations. I hear the food isn't great, but the company's definitely familiar. I turned and walked away, leaving them to their fate, their legacy tarnished, their empire shattered. As I stepped out of the detention center, the sunlight felt warm on my face, a promise of a new beginning, a future filled with hope, justice, and the sweet taste of revenge.